100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Hello and welcome back to Cardiff Airport. Change is a constant in the airline industry and the airport. One of these changes has been brought to Cardiff by BMI that isn't just increasing its route network from Cardiff, but also started flying from the airport with the company's low-cost subsidiary BMI Baby. And so we find this 737-300 of said airline. After the aircraft arrived earlier this afternoon from Nice, it's now ready to head out again, but this time with the scheduled destination Dubrovnik. As the plane has been based at the airport, we'll surely get to watch this aircraft plenty of times going forward. In the stand we find this Dash 8 of Flybe. Also, this airline has big plans for the future, as the airline wants to take over the British Airways regional network from beginning of next year. But for now, the focus is solely on getting the plane out for its next flight to Cork. It does, however, look like it will be leaving with a slight delay. Still on time in its turnaround is this Avro 100 of Swiss. With 30 minutes left until the scheduled departure to Geneva, ground crews have started loading the luggage for this flight. Next up we find the 737-700 of EasyJet. The aircraft arrived 20 minutes ago from Newcastle and will now be prepared for its second to last flight of the day, bringing it to Toulouse. Once it has returned back to Cardiff, it will then be heading to Belfast, ending the daily flight plan of the aircraft. Then we find this A320 of BMI, currently assigned on the airline's London Heathrow route, but the airline will also soon be offering other destinations from Cardiff with the BMI main line. With still 20 minutes until pushback, the last fuel is being pumped into the plane before boarding will begin. Currently in the middle of its turnaround is this A320 of British Airways that also will be heading to London Heathrow. Currently the cabin is being cleaned and some catering is being loaded, while some first luggage is being driven up to the plane. Arriving with 40 minutes delay is this A321 of Lufthansa that has just come in from Frankfurt. With a scheduled departure time in 20 minutes, it will for sure also be leaving with a delay, but ground crews are determined to reduce the ongoing delay as much as possible. Next we find this A320 of Lufthansa that has been deployed on the airline's Munich route. Lufthansa has served this route for years using many different aircraft types, from the CRJ 200, Dash 8 Q300, Avro 85s, CRJ 700 to now Airbus A319 and A320 during the Football World Cup. For the next 35 minutes, the plane will remain here at the airport before returning to Munich. A McDonnell Douglas MD-81 of Scandinavian Airlines can be found in the next stand. The aircraft arrived from Copenhagen at 10 minutes past 4 in the afternoon and will remain for the next 20 minutes on the ground if everything goes to schedule. This 757-200 of Thomas Cook Airlines arrived earlier this afternoon from Corfu. Right now, preparations for its next flight, which will bring tourists to Heraklion, have begun. Catering is being loaded, first luggage has arrived, and the plane is being fueled. Next we find this A330-200 that Thomas Cook Airlines has wet leased to help with the busy summer season. And so the aircraft is today being deployed on the service to Palma de Mallorca. Ground crews are busy and doing their best in getting the plane ready in time for the next departure. In the final stretches of its turnaround is the 737-800 of Pegasus Airlines. The last passengers are boarding the plane and the last luggage is being loaded. The pushback truck is also ready, so an on-time departure should be very much possible. Arriving and currently taxiing towards the stand is this ERJ 170 of Lord Polish Airlines that has come in from Warsaw. With only 35 minutes left of the initially scheduled 40 minutes turnaround, it will be a challenge for ground crews to get the plane ready in time, but as always they will do their best to ensure an on-time departure. But sometimes ground crews are just out of luck. Like in this case, due to an IT error at the boarding desk, procedures have dragged out, and even though there are still 30 minutes left until the departure time, it is already now clear that this plane won't be leaving on time. With only 25 minutes left until departure, it seems late to be starting loading the 737-500 of Air Baltic with the luggage. But as the flight is far from fully booked today, loading the aircraft will be a task done in minutes and therefore ensuring the on-time departure. Now before we head to the remote stands, it's time for the news. BA crews unhappy. Following last month's announcement of British Airways' intent to sell its regional network, the unions of BA cabin crews and pilots have now criticized the airline for creating an environment of uncertainty for the airline's employees. Flybe and BMI have both been mentioned as candidates for a takeover of BA's regional network, but how such a takeover would look like and if and how many staff would be moved to one of these airlines is unknown at this time. New Denmark route. British Airways franchisee Sun Air of Scandinavia announced today to open a new route from Billund Airport in Denmark starting from the winter flight schedule. New Spanish airline. Click Air is the latest low-cost carrier from Spain that will be starting its traffic program from the winter flight schedule. During a press event of the airline, it was unveiled that Cardiff will be served by the Barcelona-based airline starting from October this year. This will mean increased competition on the Barcelona-Cardiff route that currently is being served by Spanair. Cardiff traffic at all-time high. Thanks to a strong summer traffic program, Cardiff Airport is for the first time in the airport's history well on track to reach 2 million passengers by the end of the year. While the number of movements looks like it is slightly reduced from previous years, the increased passenger count can be explained due to airlines' increased usage of larger aircraft types. Over at the remote stands, we find the 737-300 of Norwegian. Passengers have already boarded the aircraft and the cabin is right now getting ready to close the doors and head back to the airline's home base at Oslo Airport. Then we find this ERJ of British Airways that arrived earlier this afternoon from Manchester and for now has been taken out of active duty. When the plane will be scheduled for its next flight is not yet known. Next up we find the CRJ 700 that will be doing one of the last special World Cup flight services of Lufthansa between Cardiff and Berlin-Tegel. With the termination of the route, Cardiff Airport will once again only be able to offer passengers the daily service to Berlin-Schönefeld Airport, operated by Germanwings. Ready to push but waiting for the clearance from ground control is this Boeing 737-700 of KLM that will be heading back to the airline's hub at Amsterdam Airport. Pulling into the ramp with about 10 minutes delay is the 737-300 of DBA. The aircraft that has arrived from Munich will soon be a thing of the past as the airline is withdrawing from the route by the end of the month. With the service running for only about a year, it was a short-lived endeavour by the former British Airways subsidiary. Next we find this Fokker 100 of Helvetic that is flying on behalf of Swiss. Currently the last passengers are still boarding the plane, which means it will be leaving with a slight delay for Zurich. Only just arrived, however, is this ERJ 145 of Luxair. Passengers are deboarding the plane and will be brought to the terminal by bus. The return flight back to Luxembourg is scheduled for 6 o'clock in the evening. And with that, let's head over to our GAT and maintenance area. Taxiing towards the cargo stand is this A310-200F of Bongo Air Cargo. After having returned from a routine flight to Nantes, it will get prepared and loaded for an ad hoc task bringing it to Salzburg in Austria. Getting pushed out of the cargo ramp and therefore making space for the Bongo Air cargo aircraft is the 757-200F of DHL. The aircraft had arrived from the East Midlands airport and will now be heading to Cologne in Germany. At the gate we find a very special visitor, a 757-200 of Azerbaijan Airlines that has arrived from Baku and that has brought 2 additional crews to Cardiff. Why that might be, we'll find out in a minute as we quickly take a look at the BA maintenance area. It is busy as always, and among the aircraft being serviced, we find this BA A319 that soon will be returning into service with a ferry flight back to its home base at London Heathrow. The maintenance area is however also busy with other aircraft than BA's own planes. After having been freshly delivered from the Airbus factory in Hamburg-Finkenwerder, this A319 and A320 was first flown to Cardiff, where the leasing company had a software update installed by BA Maintenance. Now with that done, the planes are ready for delivery to Azerbaijan Airlines that have signed a leasing contract for the 2 planes that will be leaving with only a few minutes apart from each other to Baku, the new home base of these airframes. Now with that we have reached the end of our tour around the airport. If you have enjoyed the video, then hit that like button, and if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe. With that, see you in the next episode of Cardiff.
That was back when forever seemed